All right, Tyler Benson, what's up, brother?
What's up, Chandler?
Dude, so I just dropped a bomb on you and said I was not in my home state.
I know. Yeah, I mean, the antlers in the background kind of gave that up, but yeah,
Yeah,
where are you right now?
I'm in Montana. I'm in Bozeman, Montana. The only reason I even say the town is because I know everyone knows it from Yellowstone.
Yeah, nice,
But
nice. What are you doing there?
it's honestly, I can't tell you.
All right. Okay. Anyway,
I mean, like, no, it's not because like there's anything wrong going on. It's because like
if you told me,
I've
you'd have
said
to
too
kill
much
me.
at this point in time. I've said too much.
Yeah. All right. If you
But
told me, you'd have to kill me. I get it.
I would. I mean, I tried telling you not to talk about it on the like in the pre-lobby, but like you just brought it up for no reason.
All right. All right.
I'm
Fair
just
enough.
kidding. I'm
Fair
just
enough.
kidding. No, I did. I just made that up, guys, completely. But hopefully, someone's laughing out there or laughing at us. You think they're laughing at us or laughing with us? I don't know. I guess neither. Yo, this box is on my face. All right, Tyler. So Stuart Loomis. So tell me, Tyler, how'd you get into real estate?
How did I get into real estate? So, during grad school, I was introduced to the idea of real estate investing. And like at the time when like my buddy first mentioned it to me, he was like, "Yo, have you like thought about buying a house?" I was like, "Well, no, like I'm not 40 years old with kids. So like why would I buy a house? That doesn't make any sense."
Mm-hmm.
Like he exposed me to bigger pockets, became like just like obsessed. Like I spent like all my time during class, like reading articles on the website, in between class and after studying, like listening to podcasts, reading books, all that kind of stuff. And then, I ended up working full time in accounting, like after college. And I figured like I would just do real estate on the side. Like that was always the plan. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude, it was probably like a year into my accounting job. I didn't even hate my job. Like I liked it. It was fine. I was just like way too passionate about real estate. And I figured like I had to take a swing on myself, you know? And if I
Mm-hmm.
felt like if I got to the end of the road in life and I didn't take that swing and try it out, then like I knew I was going to regret it on my deathbed. So it just wasn't something I could come to terms with. So I just jumped.
Yeah. So what was your when you jumped? I mean, obviously, like you wanted to do it. Like, where did you go first? Like, what was your first like next step?
Buddy
Or
of mine,
what-
who was a pledge in my fraternity when I was in grad school.
Mhm.
He ended up dropping out of college to wholesale real estate here in Virginia Beach, and he was like 19 years old at the time. Well, I met him. He was making a killing, and I ultimately decided I was like, dude, like, let me come work for you. Like, I will double your business. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I know I want to do this. I want to learn from you, right? So I worked for him as an acquisition manager for it was almost like 12 months on the dot, and then he moved out to LA to start like an AI company, and then that's when my business was born.
So you didn't want to go to AI?
No, no.
What is he doing? Can you disclose that?
Yeah, I can try. Like I don't fully understand. Like I'm
Mhm.
very much so a simpleton and
Mhm.
like fairly young, but like definitely don't speak tech or AI or anything like that. I know at first, like he was trying to like solve like the customer service issues. Like God forbid you have to call like Verizon or something, right? Like you'll wind up on hold for like 45 minutes to 2 hours. So like he was trying to figure out artificial intelligence to like solve that entire thing. And then he switched to like try to do real estate investing with it, and then like that didn't work out so well. I don't know exactly what he's up to today. I really don't.
That seems pretty cool. I know Hermosi just made a video on his entire team like doing replacing themselves with AI, and it was pretty cool. Watched it last
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
Um,
It's
but okay,
interesting.
so anyways, you go work with this guy. You're closing deals for him. You start your own thing because he basically forced your hand into doing it. You probably wanted to do it anyways. You're probably at the point where it's like, all right, it's been long enough. I'm gonna move on. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I started my business the week that like everything hit the fan with COVID. So like when the NBA shut down and everything, like, that's when my business was born. So
nice, a
very
COVID
time.
baby.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I like that. So let's fast forward a little bit. Obviously, like you started doing some deals pretty quickly. You joined Collective Genius. How'd you find out who me and Gino were.
Dude, like, I don't know, everyone wouldn't shut up about you guys at, like, the first dude, I'm dead serious. Like, the first conference I went to, like, I feel like every single conversation I had with anybody, like, y'all's names came up somehow. And so then, like, after the conference, I was like, "All right, like, let me see who these guys are."
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but dude, like, like, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm saying to say that y'all's names were brought up less than 8 times, I think would be ridiculous. Like, it was more than 8 for sure
That's
over the
crazy.
course of, yeah, 3-day conference.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Hopefully they were not talking shit. They're
They
probably talking
all
about Gino on
were,
the basketball court bullying everyone.
but
I'm sure that was said at least once.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe more. There was some FU Genos out there.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I still don't like that guy, but, you know.
All right, anyways, okay. So sorry, we're laughing because I don't know why we're laughing, but we are.
He's having a good
Tyler's
time,
actually
dude.
Tyler's moving to Denver to come hang out, so it'll be cool. So that's why I'm in Bozeman. He's staying at my house. He's hanging out there. But
Yeah,
anyways, Tyler, when we first talked, you're like stressing the hell out, like 100%.
yeah. Yeah. It was like more or less like a one-man show. So like we would, we would run marketing. I had VAs running marketing. They would push leads through, and then like the rest of the process was all on me. So like lead management was me, acquisitions was me, dispo was me, TC was me, admin was me. So like my typical day at the time when I first reached out to you guys was, I would have roughly like 70 follow-ups to do. Um, we were still doing like somewhere between 6 and 8 deals a month, give or take. And so like, trying to run dispo and TC for all that, like it was insane. Absolutely insane.
Also, like, how many properties were you managing too?
Yeah. At that time I probably had about like 50 to 55 units under
Yeah.
that I own.
So, and you're still like doing taxes for people, right?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you remember maybe you're doing your own taxes. That's what it was.
No, I've never touched taxes before. When I worked in accounting, I was an auditor, so I would audit like large public companies' financial statements. But dude, I do not ask me for any tax advice or anything. Please don't.
That sounds fun. Not really at all. Sounds like nails on the chalkboard. But okay, so how did you go from a one-man show to having delegated to multiple lead managers and now someone else closing all your deals for you? And like at the same time, like still getting all your time back, or not all of it, but a lot of your time back, and then still being profitable.
So the simplest thing, and this is what you and Gino told me to do. Like I did 2 exercises. So for one, I calculated my hourly rate, and moving forward, I asked myself like, and is what I'm working on right now worth my hourly rate? And if it's lower, then like figure out how to delegate it, right? So that's one activity that I did. The other activity that I did is, and this was actually you specifically. You told me like write down every single thing you do, like every single thing, like work related and not, and then like grade it from 1 to 3 based on revenue generating and the time it takes. So like if it takes a ton of time, it's a 3. If it doesn't generate a lot of revenue, it's a 1, and vice versa, right? So I built out this long list of stuff, and I just started delegating everything that was below my hourly rate, that wasn't revenue generating, that took a lot of time, and I started handing that stuff off. So like specifically speaking, like the easiest switch was like implementing lead management, right? So I was really good at acquisitions, like I still am really good at talking with sellers, but I figured I should probably only be talking with the sellers that are worth talking to, right?
Mhm.
I think the cold follow-ups and the new leads and all that kind of stuff, like I need to have somebody else handling that, and they need to set appointments for me, and then I go on the appointments. So that was the first step, and then that changed my 70 follow-ups a day to like 8. And right there I got
It's
30
huge,
hours back. Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
and your sanity probably.
It was, I don't know if you remember, man, but it was becoming very unenjoyable for me, like when we first met, like very unenjoyable.
Yeah, you were not in a very comfortable place.
No.
I remember I was pacing around my garage and you were just stressing on the other side of the phone.
Yeah, and it was like a different kind of stress. Like it was like when you and I first talked, like that was probably as far as like net numbers go, like that was probably the most like I'd ever like netted at the time, like
Mhm.
financially. But yeah, it wasn't worth it. Like no, I did not look forward to work each day. It was so yeah, it was just frustrating. It was very frustrating.
And so talk about like where you're at now. And then once we kind of define where you're at now, it's like, how do we bridge that gap? Obviously, the first thing we did was like start delegating everything out. But
Yeah.
what is your day like now? Like, what does your team look like now?
Yeah, so my team looks I still have people that do full-time marketing, but then I actually have like a full-on like lead management team, right? So literally they handle all of the leads until it gets to an appointment. They set the appointment and it goes to acquisitions. I've got two acquisition managers right now and they handle all the appointments. So like I don't even really run appointments anymore. Incredibly rarely do I do that, but and then I primarily handle Dispo.
Mhm.
So my day now really just looks like, managing marketing, making sure that we're still producing leads, we're converting leads to opportunities at the rate that we need to. We're converting opportunities into appointment set. Then it's making sure that our appointments completed to appointment set ratio is where it needs to be. Coaching up our acquisitions. So that a lot of my time now is spent managing as opposed to like actually doing a lot of the work.
Yeah. It makes me smile as you're talking about this because just seeing how far we've come and like how we got you like almost like a little robot, just
Yeah.
saying
Put it
the
in
the
perspective.
leads, the appointments,
Yeah,
which
because
we
I
preach
didn't
this all the time. It's the most important freaking thing you can have is knowing your numbers and your conversions.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't have any of that when we first started, remember?
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
because you're like, how am I gonna set this up? Like, it's fun, it's funny, but
Yeah.
also like, guys, it's just not like it was 2 years for this change to take place. Like, your life shifted from being chaos, stress, not wanting to show up to work every day to loving what you do, and like what that took place in what 1 or 2 months, right?
Yeah, yeah, I would say so, yeah.
And
That switch, like, happened, like yeah, it was shorter than 2 months for sure.
yeah, so like all it was just doing some simple exercises and then actually doing the execution steps. So
Yep.
it's not like it's rocket science, but you just have to have the perspective to take care of business. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit deeper into how you kind of like, obviously you delegated a lot of the tasks you did. And then you pick, and this is, you talked about how you delegated them and all this stuff. It was like, how'd you pick like to hire like marketing out, to hire lead managers? Like, how did you kind of like decide which part of the business to work on first?
To work on first, I did an exercise this one Gino gave me, right? So, I forget what it's called, but it's the quadrants, and so there's
Mhm.
4 different quadrants. There's kinda like
Special
what you
ability,
like
unique
doing.
ability.
Yeah, your unique ability, exactly. So it's like what you like doing, what you don't like doing, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and you fill out this like these 4 quadrants, and they all these activities fall into different buckets. So there's one quadrant that is stuff that you don't like doing and you're not good at. Like that stuff, I figured like I'm getting rid of that right away, right? What I was going to hang on to, and I have hung on to, is stuff I enjoy doing and stuff I'm good at. So anything that I didn't enjoy doing, like and wasn't good at was the very first thing I delegated away. So for me, that was lead management. Like I didn't enjoy talking to sellers that I didn't feel like were had like a realistic chance of panning out.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. And then that's where lead managers come into play
Yeah,
because just setting you up with motivated appointments where, like you said, you go on a handful a day. You talk to a
yeah,
handful of people, your follow-ups and giving offers to new people.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I also one thing I wanna point out too, I think this is a little bit understated, is we coach a lot of people. We have, like, over 55 people in our group now, and literally most people get the same advice, right? We give the same stuff to everyone, but every single because specifically with Tyler, like we would do one-on-ones, and every single week we would come and say, okay, here's exactly what we think you should do from your problems and all we talk about. And then the next week, Tyler would come back and it would literally be done. Like I cannot tell you how many people don't do that. Like most people, you tell them and it's the same shit for 3 weeks in a row, and then you can do it again and again. And if you really want to speed this up, and I'm just thinking about it too, because like honestly, there's things that personally, like I haven't done a perfect job of like, be like, okay, I got to be on top of this every single day. It's like doing the work that's going to push the business forward. But if you want to move fast, you got to push the biggest lever forward every single week, and then you're going to move very quickly, right? It's inevitable. If you really like think of it in the theory of constraints, like right, you got a ceiling or like something holding you down, right? Something's pushing you down. But if you can move that out of the way, you're going to fly up like a balloon until you hit the next level, and then you move that out of the way, then you're going to keep flying up and flying up, and that's what happens. So, just want to say that's a big reason why you've been able to do this so quickly. So, okay, so
The other thing is, like, I think it's really helpful to have people identify those levers for you because, like, I know I've met a lot of people that push those big levers that are going to help move the business that really aren't the levers that they should be pushing, right? I think
Mhm.
it's really easy to do work, to stay busy, but it's not necessarily productive. So, like, that's why I'm saying, like, having you and Gino has made a huge difference for me because, like, I didn't want to be able to choose which levers to push because I didn't have that kind of experience, right? Like I feel
Mhm.
like now I've learned from you guys and now I can kind of identify that stuff on my own. But having you
Mhm.
guys at the beginning to be able to do that was huge.
Well, yeah, and another piece of that too is like we literally would spend the first 30 minutes of the call, 45 minutes of call sometimes just trying to figure out what we need to push forward. And then once you figure out what's the biggest problem, the solution's usually pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
But being able to find out what is my best and highest use of activity is one of the more high dollar per hour activities you can ever do. So it's like if you know exactly what to fix and you know exactly what this is going to result in, and then you can figure out a clear step for the next thing, then all you got to do is execute. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But it's hard to figure out what to work on because some people like we see it all the time, like they work on like, you know, I don't know, their email signature or some stupid shit like that. I'm
Right.
like, bro, like what are you doing? Like go call some fucking sellers and lock a deal up. You know, I like I
Yeah.
just don't get it. But you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
you got to do if you like even if you're trying to get your first deal, if you're trying to get your 100th deal, the only thing you should be doing is something to push the business forward to where you're going to make more money, like or the
Hmm.
company's going to make more money, and you shouldn't do anything else. It's like right now, it might be hiring, it might be training, it might be whatever, but there's
Yeah.
something that you got to do in order to make more money, and it's the first step.
Yeah. I'd agree.
But okay, onward. So you hired lead managers. What was it like hiring lead managers? How'd you find them? And then what are like the training onboarding process for that look like?
I'm not going to be able to give a good answer. So these are dudes that have been with me for 2 years now, like over 2 years. So like they were texting for me predominantly, and like this is back when I was doing everything. Like they were my texters, and when they got like a positive response or a neutral response or whatever, they would call them immediately and get
Mhm.
them on the phone, and then like it would come through me, or even if they didn't get a hold of them, like they would still push the lead. So what I did is I took my most like talented texters, right, that were really good over the phone, and I brought them in to do lead management. I did it one by one. It's like I brought in like my most talented one on the phone,
Mhm.
and what that looked like was so for onboarding, I actually put him through John Martinez sales training course. Like that was the very first thing. And then after that, like I slowly handed him off leads with instructions on how to handle each lead. Like that's how it very first began. We would have a morning huddle that would take about an hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every single day. We would do another hour in the afternoon, listening to call recordings, doing role plays. And then he eventually like kind of learned the ropes. And so now and I did that one by one. So now we have 3 lead managers, and we do 30 minutes in the morning, which is reviewing our stoplight reports, which goes over number of calls they've made, number of working leads they have, number of conversations they have, number of appointments that were set, and then after we do that, we listen to a call recording, and then in the afternoon we do role plays, and that's
Yeah.
still daily.
And I want to cover probably the most thing that the piece of that's going to slip under the radar that no one's going to hear is the level and the skill of the resource allocation, right? So you have all these resources right of your team. You have these textures and like you identify like, oh, they call, like, why can't they just be lead managers, right? They're already basically lead managers. They just don't have the next step of responsibility. And so to be able to take them and repurpose them as a higher and better use to where they don't, I mean, they probably get paid a little bit more, maybe some bonuses, but the value to you is like 10x, right? It's like what we do to properties, we add value. You just
Yeah.
the same thing to your business by taking people who already had skills and repurpose them to a higher and better use. And then that makes you way more money.
And I can't take credit for that. Actually, I forgot about this, but now that you mentioned all that, you were the one that told me
I
to.
know. That's what great operators do, bro. They are good at resource allocation.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I didn't execute it. I just told you should do it, and you did it.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
kudos to you on completing that. But that's the thing, like, guys, if you feel like someone is not performing in a role and they have skill sets that don't fit that role, don't make another job for them, but put them in a role that better suits them if you already have one. And if they aren't performing in their one and they're not going to perform in anything else in the company, then they're not a fit. But like, these guys were good on the phone. They already knew how to qualify. They already knew a lot of the stuff. You could just repurpose them to a higher and better use all day. And that's going to save, like, think about it. When you even, let's say these lead managers are half as good as you, right? But they spend all their time calling. They're still going to probably set the same amount of appointments as you would, and you get all their time back and have the same amount of opportunity coming in on the back end, right? You're able to give the same amount of offers and spend 1 hour a week or 1 hour a day doing it instead of 8 or 10 or whatever. So your output's the same and you pay the same. So it's like a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But anyways, so you hire your lead managers. What were some of the biggest challenges training a lead management team and like getting them to where they're at now, where they're setting 1 or 2 appointments a day?
I'd say, I mean, talking with sellers, it takes time. Like learning how to talk with sellers takes time. Like learning how to diagnose motivation, like knowing how to overcome, especially with roadblocks. So like in our business, all right, like we set appointments once we gather like price, timeline, condition, motivation. We need all decision makers there, and they need to be ready to make a yes or no decision. And like it sounds kind of simple, but then like you get certain objections, like, oh no, my wife doesn't need to be there. Like she's confident with my decision, right? We know that's not the case. Okay. Like, so there's there's all these different objections that like you've got to handle. So there were a lot of bad appointments that were set, right? A lot of misdiagnosed motivations. Like we literally closed a cold lead that was like a $45,000 assignment fee, like, a few months ago. And it's like, guys, I mean, I don't know how that's cold lead. Like this is an inherited property. It's a hoarder house. Like, but just certain things, I'd say the judgment piece of it is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Anything that requires judgment.
Because it's hard to systemize judgment and scale judgment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can do the best you can. I think systemizing like a feedback loop, like you did, like when you get all these bad appointments or good appointments, like how are you like training them up on good or bad appointments? And
Yeah,
then
almost.
how are you like building that feedback loop for what's good and what's bad? And like,
Yeah, almost every appointment is responded to with a voice memo in our team group chat. So like when an appointment is set, it's like even if it was a good one, like hey Eddie, this was a great appointment. Like they were motivated by this. You did a good job diagnosing this. Like I saw you overcame this roadblock. Like excellent job. Or like hey, I saw you set this appointment. There's like no motivation here. The price sucks. Like what were you thinking, right? And we do that on pretty much every single appointment. So now like today it's not as much of an issue. Like it still happens and whatnot, but yeah, that's really what we did.
Yeah, I like that. What about like you said, you lost the cold lead or whatever, it turned into a 45K deal.
Yeah.
Like how did you like train your team to recognize those like situations maybe a little bit better?
It's the daily training, man. So like that one, I think I coincidentally found that lead in our CRM. Like I was going through our lead managers pipelines of like leads and follow-ups, and I saw this one and it was on a street that I really liked. And so I just like clicked on it and like I read the notes and it's like inherited the property, the house is in bad condition, it's a hoarder house, and like the price was really good. And I was like, so like the very next team call, which was like 2 hours later, I was like, hey JP, talk me through this one. Right. And so when you spend 2 hours a day with the lead managers, learning from everybody's mistakes and stuff like that, it eventually sinks in. There's growing pains, believe me.
I think like the random audit of the leads is that one's dangerous, man. It just it usually just pisses me off because I'm just so frustrated.
I know. Yeah.
That's valuable. It's the same thing for like SMS. Like go back through your SMS leads, read the conversations, train them up, do it for your cold callers, do it for your lead managers do it for acquisition. Everyone, like even like everyone needs one. Like people aren't perfect, so like even like I'm sure like if you had a pipeline or I had a pipeline or whoever out there that thinks they're an incredible closer or salesperson, I'm sure someone could come behind you and close a deal in your pipeline. 100%. I
Oh
would
yeah,
bet money on it.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't connect everyone perfectly. You don't manage every situation perfectly. Like it's just the reality.
Yeah.
So like that's one of the most important things that you can do. So, okay. So you got these lead managers setting appointments every day. You're probably getting like 4 or 5 appointments, somewhere between 3 and 4 appointments a day now, maybe more.
We're averaging like 20 a week. So yeah, it's like right at like 4 appointments a
Okay,
day.
which
Yeah.
is really solid.
Yeah.
So you obviously now you're getting so you got overflowing with leads, and now you're getting overflowing with appointments. You got to hire an acquisition guy. What does
Right.
that look like to hire and bring on an acquisition guy?
I'm still working through that. I'm still working through that. I just hired one in December, so it's like 3 months ago, and I mean he's a stud. Like he's extremely good. He's hungry. Like he's very humble. He's like willing to learn. And you were describing like the way that I approach coaching with you guys, and that like whatever you said, like I wrote down and I made sure like I implemented it immediately. Like right when we got off the call, I made plans. Like how am I going to implement this?
Mm-hmm.
Like he takes that same approach. So I would like what I'm looking for in hiring moving forward is like guys like that. Like don't come in like thinking you know everything. Like I don't mind having experience or whatever, but like I want you to come in hungry, humble, and just willing to learn, like just eager to learn. And I found him through he and I had been friends for probably like a year and a half, 2 years or something like that. And we'd stayed in contact. So when the time came for me to bring on another acquisition manager, like he was my first and only call. And I was like, hey, like I have this opportunity. If you're interested, we can see if it makes any sense.
Yeah, I think the coachability and like you could call like openness to new things, like, but the coachability and like the openness to new ideas is one of the more important pieces in someone's puzzle because you can be like really. I mean, I think you have a good example of this, but like you can be like really good and just get worse because you never adapt and pivot and change,
Right.
like listen to feedback or grow or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if like, yeah, I mean, it's, you can see it all the time. Like, look at Blockbuster. Like, I don't know if like their executives weren't open to change or growth, or like maybe they just missed. I doubt they missed something. They just probably were like egotistical a bit, because
Yeah.
they were the shit at one point, and then
Yeah.
now they literally are shit.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, dude, there's a lot of like wholesalers out there specifically. Like, we're wholesalers, right? So we can talk about that example. Like
Mhm.
when the market turned, like if you weren't starting to make like steeper offers, if you weren't like getting your marketing dialed in, if you weren't focusing a lot more on dispositions, like I don't know, man, the tide kind of went back in and you saw a lot of people like not wearing any pants, right? Yeah,
All
it's
right,
the same
Warren.
thing
Okay, Warren.
out
Is
here.
it Buffett, right? Warren Buffett. That's his quote.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the tides, what is it? The quote? You said it pretty good. We'll just
I
leave
don't
it.
know, man. I feel like it's exactly what I said, but if
I
you want
mean,
me
it's
to repeat it, I
gotta
can.
be, man. There's inchworms everywhere out there in the streets, man. Oh God. Okay, keep a straight face.
All
Straight
right.
fucking face. All right, Tyler. Well, okay. What do you think is the most challenging piece to going from, just being overwhelmed to like getting like basically going from like to getting closer to your desired end state? Like, what do you feel like one of the more challenging things that you've had to overcome to get to where you're at right now in
I think
business?
hiring is really hard. Like I think hiring and finding the right people. Like if you get the wrong person in, I think that's by far the biggest challenge. You spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of energy. I'd say those are the two big things. There's a lot of opportunity cost there, and it's also just like it's deflating, man. It's deflating when you feel like you have someone that doesn't work out. And then if you get someone in that's not a culture fit, like it's deflating for the whole team,
Hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. I think hiring is one of the most important most important things. Like we were just talking a little bit ago. I mean, I'm gonna bring up the Hermosi quote. If I didn't, it wouldn't be on brand for me. So like Hermosi is like, if you had the skill to hire a team of people who knew how to build $1 billion company, would you have to work? No, they would just build the company for you because you could put the team together, right? So obviously you have to have leadership skills and there's other ancillary things you need to do. But if you were able to do something like that, then, if you can master hiring, like me and Tyler were just talking about it, like when you go from not being in the day to day at all, in my opinion, like getting out of the day to day is relatively easy if you have a good process, right? You have a solid process, getting out from giving the offers. It's not easy, but it's pretty doable. Right? A lot of people can take care to get that done. The next step is like imagine taking like your marketing, your lead management, your acquisitions, your dispo, your finance, and having someone who's extremely high level run those basically like individual companies on their own. Like that, like because you do it now, but then just imagine like having all those ran by someone else and like what that person needs to be capable of, right? Be able to implement new things, do all this stuff. I have someone at my door. Hold up.
You're good. That is kind of crazy though. Like,
Hey, how's it going?
This got delivered to our apartment.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good one. I got mail, guys.
there we go. But I was gonna say, so like if you think about that, like you get like a new dude, you are so excited about that package.
Jake Friedman, baby. That's me today.
I was gonna say though, like if you think about that, so you're hiring directors for like each of those different departments, like so if they don't do as good a job of you as you, then like revenue is probably gonna drop. You have to factor into that as well that like these people aren't working for free, right? Like you're paying them to do it. So not only is revenue dropping, but like they're also costing money. It's crazy.
Oh, it's a danger. It's a slippery slope, man. You gotta we've made the wrong sales director hire before and are literally 100% shit you not business cut in half day one for 3 months. 100%. And like if you are on 50% margin, where did all your profit go? Gone, right?
Yeah.
So like just put that in perspective, right? Of what can happen if you hire the wrong person. Now, then you have to do that like 4 or 5 times. So it's not easy. It's still like, right? I mean, like you learn a lot of stuff going throughout the thing and you become a much better leader doing that because it's not like, and I hate to say like it's not hard to lead like people who are just like, like a couple salespeople. It's not easy. Like there's a lot of fucking challenging things that you have to go over. But imagine like leading someone who's then leading other people and like they don't have as much experience or they don't know what's going on or they don't have like the toolkit to be able to do it. And then like you have to compensate for that. Like it's really like you lose a lot of control, right? So all the percolation of your knowledge and your ideas, like when you tell, like you've done the thing in like elementary school where you tell someone like a sentence next to you and it goes around the room. And then next, when it gets back around the room, it's not even the same freaking sentence. So imagine doing that, but telling someone a super complex idea and you're trying to make it simple and coach them through it. And then now they have to go and execute that. And it's going to come in and they're going to go out and however it does. And then like that person who receives it is going to receive like 50% of it. So like by the time it gets to the person on the front lines, it's like part of you. And you can't give them every marching order on what to say to their team. So like if you don't have someone who's extreme talent, like it's going to be extremely challenging to make it through that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, I mean, that's a whole rant that we could go on for a while.
And that's a whole nother level. Like there's also an argument to be made. Like you were literally, as you and I were talking about that before this call, like you had also said, like, you need to do some like deep internal digging and figure out, like, do you actually want to get to that level? Like where are you trying to go? Like, what are your goals?
Mm-hmm.
And like, why are you trying to get there? Because to your point, like you and Gino went through a really hard time with having the wrong directors in place. Like for somebody that doesn't have like the same goals as you, like, I don't know, man, that can derail a lot of things.
Yeah, dude, because like you have to grind. Like literally for the last like 8 months, not 8 months, like basically the second half of last year, 6 months of the second half of last year, 14, 16-hour days, like 80-hour weeks, like to do nothing, to make it what seems like going nowhere. But you're building all this momentum to where now it's like making sense, right? You're learning, you're making the right moves and building back up momentum. But like the thing where they say like the bigger the ship is, the harder is the turn. Bro, that ship gets pretty freaking big and pretty hard to turn. And like it takes a lot of momentum to like make a ship go faster, right? So to your point, like my dad always told me, and like I was like, 18, 20, even this was even like a couple years ago, like when we were doing business. Like he's like, when you get past, there's a stage in business where, once you go past it, you're not good until you make it to like the next tier. It's like they call it like the valley of death. And like people talk about it all the time. Like, there's tons of business books that talk about valleys of death. But installing that second tier of leadership, and then like your director suite, and then like where you're then now the C-suite on top of it, is really challenging. And that's like I didn't understand how hard that would be until you actually go through it. And like we're not out of the woods yet. We still got 2 more hires to make until we're done. But we've gotten 2 other successful directors and one other one. She's not managing like a full team, but she's like I would consider successful on that tier. So 3 out of the 5 done. And then like we're working on the 4th one right now. And the 5th one's coming soon. So it's not over, but you definitely need to do a little soul searching if you're down to grind for another year to 2 years. Like really, truly grind.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
Someone said daddy. They must be talking about you, Tyler.
Dude.
Daddy T daddy.
Is that, are we sure that's not Gino?
It more than likely, if I had to put money on it, I would probably say
He always comments that on my shit on Instagram.
Let's see who it is. I'm gonna pull it up. Oh yeah, it's Gino. It's Giovanni.
Yeah, I figured
Giovanni. But all right.
He's got my wife on edge when he comments that stuff on my Instagram
Does
post.
he? Does your wife think you're gonna leave her for him?
No, she wants to know if like I got a kid or something. It's like, no, it's just
Is there something that we don't know?
Those keys.
Bro, there's a bunch of cornmeal going out on the ground right now. Eating some geese. Y'all, Tyler better get those numbers up, dude.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler, what would you want to leave the listeners with here? What piece of advice would you give them?
I would. So again, the life-changing thing. Well, I shouldn't say the life-changing thing, but like the biggest needle mover. Yeah. All right. There you go. Over the last like 12 months, which just keep in mind, and it wasn't even 12 months, dude. It was like, when did we start working together? It's probably like 4 or 5 months ago. 4 months ago, something like that. Like, was just figuring out, what do I enjoy doing? What do I not enjoy doing? What am I good at? What am I not good at? And then like delegating from there. Right. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. So then it went from, complete disdain for the business to like being excited about it again. And like, once you have that excitement and once you have the fulfillment and like, everything becomes so much easier. Like now you have a different mindset when you're talking with sellers. Now you have a different mindset when you're dealing with employees. Like now you have a different mindset when you're thinking about the future. And like when you have that positive mindset and you have that energy, like the rest just honestly just kind of comes naturally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, positivity, man. The power of positivity. I think people talk about it in like a weird way, but it's pretty real, dude. Positivity it's like negativity spreads like wildfire, but positivity is pretty powerful, when put in the right direction.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Tyler, appreciate you having you on. Thanks for being a part of Level Up and helping with that. Also, Tyler is running one of the calls for the accelerator program. So if you guys are looking to start, you're just in the early stages of real estate and looking to get more consistent and learn how to do a little bit more deals, and then hit us up and maybe Tyler can teach you some magic, bro.
Absolutely.
All right. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, Chandler.
All right.
Later.